The storm had rolled in quicker than anyone expected. By the time Anna pulled her car into the driveway, fat drops of rain were already splattering against the windshield, blurring the edges of her suburban street into streaks of grey. She killed the engine and sat for a moment, gripping the steering wheel, listening to the frantic drumming on the roof. Inside the house, she knew her daughter Lily was waiting with her best friend Emily. The two girls were inseparable, 15, all giggles and secrets and whispered late-night plans. And tonight, Emily's older brother was supposed to pick her up. Anna hadn't thought twice about it until she saw him. When she pushed open the front door, shaking off the damp chill, she froze, standing in her living room, towering over the girls. Rain dripping from his dark hair was someone she hadn't expected. Just a quick note, if you're new here and haven't subscribed, please take a moment to do so. Your support means the world and helps us share more heartfelt stories. Daniel, Emily's brother. He was taller than she remembered, broad-shouldered, with a quiet presence that pulled the air toward him. His damp t-shirt clung to his chest, and his gaze flicked up from the girls to meet Anna's. For a second, neither of them spoke. "Hey, Mrs. Thompson," he finally said, voice low, almost apologetic. "Sorry, the rain caught me off guard." Anna nodded, but her throat felt dry. She hadn't seen him in months. Maybe longer. She remembered him as the quiet boy who tagged along when Emily's family came over for barbecues. But now he was 22. A man. The girls were oblivious. "Mom, can Emily stay the night?" Lily chirped, bouncing on the couch. "Please? It's raining so hard. Her parents said it's okay if you're fine with it." Anna tore her eyes from Daniel and forced a smile. "Of course, sweetheart. That's fine." The girls squealed and disappeared down the hall toward Lily's room, leaving Anna and Daniel alone in the living room. The silence pressed in, broken only by the hammering rain outside. "You didn't have to walk them in," Anna said finally, tucking a strand of damp hair behind her ear. Daniel shrugged, a half-smile tugging at his mouth. "Emily doesn't like storms. Figured I'd wait until she was settled." The way he said it, calm, steady, sent a shiver through her. She nodded, unsure what else to say. He glanced toward the window, where the storm raged on. "I might have to wait it out a bit. Roads are flooding already." Anna's chest tightened. She should have told him to go, that he'd be fine. But instead, she heard herself say softly, "Stay as long as you need." For a moment, their eyes met again, and something unspoken passed between them, sharp and undeniable. Later that evening, after the girls had shut themselves away with music and whispered chatter, Anna found Daniel in the kitchen. He was leaning against the counter, scrolling through his phone, the storm still rattling the windows. "You hungry?" she asked, surprising herself. He looked up. "A little, yeah." She busied herself with the fridge, pulling out leftovers, roast chicken, salad, some bread. She set everything down, aware of his eyes following her every move. "Thanks," he murmured, taking a seat at the table. She sat across from him, suddenly hyper-aware of the quiet. It was different from the chaotic energy of her daughter and Emily. This silence carried weight. "So, how's school?" she asked, instantly regretting the question. He smirked. "Graduated last year. Just working now." Heat rose to her cheeks. "Right, sorry, I lose track." "It's okay." His tone softened. "You've had a lot on your plate. Lily talks about you all the time." Anna blinked. "She does?" "Yeah, she says you're strong, that you keep everything together." The words hit deeper than she expected. No one ever said things like that to her, not even her ex-husband. For a second, she forgot how to breathe. Their eyes locked again, longer this time, and Anna felt the walls she'd carefully built over years of responsibility and heartbreak start to crack. The storm outside roared louder, wind howling against the house. Inside, time seemed to slow. Daniel leaned back in his chair, his voice steady, almost careful. "You know, you don't always have to keep it together." Her chest tightened. She opened her mouth to respond, but at that exact moment, Lily's laughter rang out from down the hall, breaking the spell. Anna looked away quickly, standing to clear the plates, even though they'd barely eaten. Her hands trembled as she gripped the dishes. When she turned back, Daniel was watching her quietly, not with judgment, but with something else, something she wasn't ready to name. And she knew, deep down, that the storm outside was nothing compared to the one she had just stepped into. The storm eased by morning, leaving the world washed clean. damp earth rising with the smell of rain. Anna woke early, restless, her mind tangled in fragments of the night before. Daniel's steady voice, the way his eyes lingered just a moment too long, that unspoken current humming between them. She pushed it aside. It was nothing, a passing moment in the middle of a storm. She had responsibilities, a daughter to raise, a household to run. She couldn't afford to let her imagination play tricks on her. But when she stepped into the kitchen, she found him there again. Daniel sat at the table, sipping coffee, his damp jacket slung over the back of a chair. The girls had apparently dragged him into a late movie marathon, and rather than drive back through flooded streets, he'd crashed on the couch. He looked up as she entered, offering a tired but warm smile. "Morning." Anna froze in the doorway, clutching her robe tighter. "Morning," she replied, her voice softer than she intended. He lifted his mug. "Hope you don't mind. I made coffee." She crossed to the counter, trying not to notice how comfortable he seemed in her space. "No, that's fine." She poured herself a cup, willing her hands not to shake. Silence stretched between them. Not awkward exactly, but heavy. Finally, Daniel set his mug down. "You barely slept, did you?" She blinked, startled. "How would you know? You've got that look." "Same as Emily gets before exams. Eyes tired, but wired." He studied her with unsettling attentiveness. "What's on your mind?" Anna forced a small laugh. "Oh, just the usual. Bills, work, teenage drama." He didn't smile. He just looked at her, like he could see straight through the deflection. She shifted under his gaze, retreating to the sink. "Daniel," she said, her voice firmer now, "you should probably head home soon. Your parents might be worried." "Yeah," he murmured, but he didn't move. The girls came bounding in then, breaking the tension with their chatter. Emily begged her brother to stay for breakfast. Lily chimed in, insisting it would be fun. Anna wanted to refuse, needed to refuse, but she heard herself say yes. Later, after the plates were cleared and the girls vanished into Lily's room again, Anna stood by the window, watching the sun fight its way through thinning clouds. She tried to anchor herself in the ordinary rhythm of the day, but Daniel drifted back into the room, leaning against the doorframe. "You always do that," he said. She turned, startled. "Do what?" "Stand by the window, like you're waiting for something." Her heart stuttered. "I'm not," she began, then stopped. He was watching her too closely. "Maybe you're just waiting for a break," he added softly. His words unsettled her more than she wanted to admit. She set her mug down too quickly, coffee sloshing over the rim. "Daniel, this—" She stopped, searching for the right words. "You're Lily's best friend's brother. You're too young. This is complicated." He didn't flinch. "I know." The quiet conviction in his voice unnerved her. She turned away, desperate to end the moment. "I think you should go now." "Anna," he said, his voice low, steady but carrying weight. "I'm not trying to make this harder for you. I see you." She gripped the counter so tightly her knuckles whitened. No one had said that to her in years. Not her ex-husband, not even her friends. She had lived so long behind the facade of the strong single mother that she'd forgotten what it felt like to be noticed. Her chest ached with the conflict of it. She spun around, but before she could reply, the slam of a bedroom door echoed down the hall. Lily and Emily's laughter followed, pulling Anna back to reality like a cold hand on her shoulder. Daniel straightened, giving her a small nod. "I'll get going." She watched him leave, her pulse racing, 1,000 words unsaid burning in her throat. The screen door creaked, then clicked shut behind him. The house felt emptier than it should have. Anna busied herself with chores, anything to keep her hands moving, her mind distracted. But by afternoon, her thoughts kept circling back. She caught herself replaying the smallest details. The rough edge of his voice, the warmth in his eyes. It was wrong. She knew it was wrong. Yet the memory of his words clung to her like smoke. By evening, she thought she'd shaken it off. But then Lily came bounding into the kitchen, cheeks flushed. "Mom!" "Emily's brother is coming back later. He forgot his jacket." Anna froze mid-step, her heart lurching. "What?" "Yeah," he texted Emily. "Said he'll swing by tonight." Anna swallowed hard, forcing a neutral tone. "That's fine." But inside, dread and anticipation tangled in equal measure. She told herself she'd keep it brief. Hand him the jacket, say goodnight, nothing more. The hours dragged. By the time the doorbell finally rang, the house was quiet. Lily and Emily upstairs, music faintly drifting from behind their door. Anna opened the front door. Daniel stood there, the fading light catching the edges of his face, sharp and beautiful in a way that made her chest tighten. He smiled faintly. "Forgot this." She handed him the jacket quickly, her hand brushing his as she did. A spark shot through her so sudden it stole her breath. His eyes flickered to hers. Neither of them moved. The night air pressed cool against her skin, but inside she was burning, and in that charged silence, with only the distant murmur of the girls upstairs, Anna realized this wasn't going away. Not tonight, not tomorrow. It had only just begun. For the next week, Anna tried to shake it off. She filled her days with work, errands, the endless cycle of laundry and dinner and school runs. Life gave her no shortage of distractions, and she clung to them like a lifeline. But Daniel kept appearing, not deliberately. At least, that's what she told herself. Emily and Lily were inseparable, which meant Daniel was around more than ever. Sometimes it was just to pick his sister up, other times to drop her off. And each time, Anna felt that same unsettling pull. Like a tide she couldn't swim against, one afternoon, she found herself in the driveway, bent over the hood of her car, cursing under her breath at the stubborn engine. The thing had been sputtering for weeks. She yanked her hand back, smearing grease on her wrist. "You're gonna hurt yourself like that." She turned, startled. Daniel stood a few feet away, hands shoved in his pockets, watching her with that steady calm. "I'm fine," she muttered, though her pulse jumped. He stepped closer, squinting at the open hood. "It's your alternator. Loose connection, probably. You know about cars now?" she asked, half defensive. He smirked. "Picked up some things at the shop where I work. Want me to take a look?" She hesitated. Pride told her to refuse, but practicality and something deeper made her step aside. He leaned over the engine, his shirt stretching across his back. Anna caught herself staring before quickly looking away, heat rising in her cheeks. A few minutes later, he wiped his hands on a rag. "Try it now." She slid into the driver's seat, turned the key. The engine roared to life smoothly. Relief washed over her, followed by a strange, fluttering gratitude. "Guess I owe you one," she said softly. "You don't owe me anything," he replied, his voice carrying something unspoken. Their eyes met again, and in that moment, Anna knew she was standing on the edge of something she couldn't control. That evening, Lily invited Emily to stay the night again. Anna tried to say no, but the girls begged until she gave in, which meant Daniel was back at her door after dark, dropping his sister off. This time, he didn't leave right away. Anna found him lingering on the porch, hands shoved in his jacket pockets, his eyes flicking to hers as if testing invisible lines. "Thanks for letting Emily stay," he said. "Of course," she replied. The words came out too soft. The porch light cast a glow over his face, highlighting the seriousness in his expression. "Anna, can I ask you something?" Her breath caught. "What? Do you ever get tired of pretending you're fine all the time?" The question hit her like a stone thrown through glass. She tried to laugh it off, but her voice cracked. "That's a dangerous question. Maybe. But I think you've been carrying too much alone." Her throat tightened. She wanted to snap, to tell him he didn't know anything about her life. But he did. Somehow, in those quiet glances and brief exchanges, he saw her more clearly than anyone else had in years. She took a step back, her hand trembling on the doorframe. "Good night, Daniel." He nodded, but his gaze lingered as she shut the door between them. The days that followed grew heavier with unspoken words. Anna avoided being alone with him, but the universe seemed bent on pushing them together. One Saturday, she drove the girls to the park. Emily insisted Daniel come along, and he did, trailing a few steps behind them as the girls ran ahead. Anna sat on a bench, pretending to scroll her phone, but Daniel joined her, quiet, steady. "You always sit apart," he said. "I'm giving them space," she murmured. "You're giving yourself space," he countered. Her head snapped up, ready to protest, but his eyes softened the blow. "It's not a bad thing, but sometimes space turns into walls." The words sank deep, unsettling. She pressed her lips together, unable to answer. A gust of wind sent leaves tumbling across the path. The girls' laughter rang out in the distance, and for a long moment, Anna and Daniel sat in silence, their shoulders almost touching. When he finally stood, his hand brushed against hers, just barely. The contact was fleeting, but it set her entire body alight. She jerked her hand back, her breath uneven. He said nothing, only looked at her, then walked toward the girls. Anna's heart thundered in her chest, panic and desire warring inside her. She knew she should end this, draw a line so clear it couldn't be crossed. But when she closed her eyes, all she saw was the way he looked at her, as though he was waiting for her to admit the truth she wasn't ready to face. That night, as she tucked Lily into bed, her daughter whispered sleepily, "Mom, you're smiling more lately." Anna froze, caught off guard. "Am I?" "Yeah," Lily mumbled, already drifting off. Anna smoothed her daughter's hair, her chest tightening, smiling more. She wanted to believe it was just coincidence, just life feeling lighter after a hard stretch. But in her heart, she knew exactly why. And she knew it was only a matter of time before that truth could no longer stay hidden. The night it finally happened, Anna hadn't planned it. She never would have dared if she'd had a choice. It was a Thursday, late autumn, the air sharp with cold. Lily had begged to stay the night at Emily's, and for once, Anna said yes without hesitation. The house was quiet, hollow almost, as she moved through the motions of dinner for one. The silence pressed in, leaving her restless, uneasy. She tried reading, tried cleaning, tried pouring a glass of wine and sitting by the window, but nothing stilled the storm inside her. When the knock came, her heart jumped. She opened the door, and there he was. Daniel. He shifted awkwardly on the porch, his breath misting in the cold. "Sorry, Emily forgot her backpack. Thought I'd grab it while I was out." Anna swallowed hard, stepping aside. "It's in Lily's room. I'll get it." She hurried down the hall, clutching the bag like it was a lifeline. But when she turned back, Daniel hadn't stayed by the door. He was standing in the living room, looking at the framed photos on the mantel. Lily's school pictures, old family portraits from years ago, back when Anna had still been married. "You don't look happy in these," he said quietly. Anna froze. "Excuse me?" He turned, his gaze steady. "The pictures. You're smiling, but it's not real. Not like now," her breath caught. "Daniel, I'm sorry," he said quickly, stepping closer. "I don't mean to cross a line, but I can't keep pretending I don't see it. You're not the same as you were back then. You're stronger, brighter, and I—" He stopped, jaw tightening. "I notice." Anna's pulse roared in her ears. She wanted to tell him to leave, to end this madness before it spiraled further. But instead, she whispered, "You shouldn't say things like that." "Maybe not," he admitted, "but I can't help it." The silence stretched between them, thick and charged. Anna set the backpack down with trembling hands. "You should go," but Daniel didn't move. He took one slow step toward her, then another. His eyes never left hers. "Anna," he said softly, "tell me you don't feel it too, and I'll walk out that door." Her chest tightened. She opened her mouth, but no words came, because it was a lie she couldn't form. Daniel's breath shuddered out, and then he was closer, so close she could feel the heat radiating off him. His hand lifted, hesitating inches from her cheek. She should have pulled back. She should have ended it right then. But when his fingers brushed against her skin, the dam inside her broke. The kiss was tentative at first, almost cautious, but when Anna didn't stop him, it deepened. Urgent, desperate, years of loneliness and restraint unraveling in an instant. When she finally tore herself away, she was breathless, her heart hammering. "This is wrong," she whispered, her voice shaking. "So wrong." "Maybe," he said, his forehead resting against hers. "But it feels real." Her body trembled with the truth of it. Later, after he left, Anna sank onto the couch, burying her face in her hands. Her lips still burned with the memory of his kiss. Her heart still raced with the echo of his touch, and the guilt came crashing in. She was a mother. She had responsibilities. What if Lily ever found out? What would Emily think? What would their families say? The weight of it crushed her, but beneath it all, another truth whispered, a truth she couldn't silence. For the first time in years, she felt alive. The following days were a blur of stolen glances and half-finished conversations. Every time Daniel came by, Anna's chest tightened, torn between fear and longing. She told herself to stay away, to shut it down. But the pull between them only grew stronger. One evening, she caught sight of him in the grocery store. Their carts nearly collided in the aisle. Both froze, caught in the act of pretending they were just acquaintances. "You avoiding me?" he asked softly. Yes, she admitted, voice trembling. Why? You know why. He leaned closer, his voice low enough only she could hear. Because it scares you? Or because it's easier than admitting what you want? Her throat ached. She couldn't answer. Before she could move, someone else turned the corner. A neighbor, offering a polite smile and a wave. Anna forced a stiff grin, heart hammering, and quickly wheeled her cart away. She didn't look back, but she felt Daniel's eyes on her the entire time. That night, alone in bed, Anna stared at the ceiling, her body buzzing with restless energy. She knew the line between them had already been crossed, and soon, very soon, the rest of the world would force her to face the consequences. The truth didn't stay buried for long. It never does. It was a Saturday afternoon when the cracks finally split open. The girls had just come back from the movies, chattering in the hallway, when Anna heard Lily's voice ring out, teasing, sing-song. Mom, Daniel's here again! You two sure talk a lot. The words were innocent, careless. But they froze Anna in place. She glanced toward the door and saw him, standing in her kitchen, a quiet smile tugging at his lips, his hands shoved into his jacket pockets. Emily, oblivious, rolled her eyes at her brother. Seriously, Daniel, you're always hanging around. What gives? Lily giggled. Maybe he likes Mom. Anna's breath hitched. The room seemed to tilt. Daniel's eyes flicked to hers, steady, unreadable. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then he cleared his throat and shrugged, trying to play it off. Relax, I was just dropping something off for Emily. The girls laughed and ran upstairs, their chatter fading behind a slammed bedroom door. But Anna stayed frozen, her pulse roaring in her ears. You need to be careful, she whispered once the girls were gone, her voice sharp with panic. They can't. No one can suspect anything. I know, he said quietly. His gaze held hers, steady but heavy with something deeper. But maybe that's the problem. We're hiding like it's shameful, like it isn't real. Her chest tightened. Daniel, I can't keep pretending, he interrupted, his voice firm now, cutting through the fear. I know it's complicated. I know people would judge. But what we feel, it's real. You feel it too. Her throat ached. She wanted to deny it, wanted to push him away for good. But her silence betrayed her. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. You've spent so long living for everyone else. Your daughter, your work, your family. When's the last time you lived for you? The question shattered her. She turned away, gripping the edge of the counter, her knuckles white. If Lily ever found out, she'd want you to be happy, Daniel said softly. Anna squeezed her eyes shut. Tears burned hot, threatening to spill. She's just a kid. She wouldn't understand. Maybe not now, he admitted, but someday she will, and she'll see that her mother was brave enough to choose happiness instead of fear. Anna turned, her heart breaking under the weight of it. He looked at her with such raw honesty it was unbearable. You're asking me to risk everything, she whispered. I'm asking you not to keep pretending you don't want this, he said. Not with me, not with yourself. The sound of footsteps on the stairs made them both snap back, the moment suspended in unfinished words. The girls barreled into the kitchen, demanding snacks, laughing, unaware of the storm that had just passed inches from their lives. Anna plastered on a smile, moving mechanically to grab chips from the cupboard. Her hands shook as she set the bowl down, forcing herself to laugh at Lily's joke, to keep her world intact. But inside, something had shifted. The choice was no longer avoidable. That night, long after the house had gone quiet, Anna sat alone at the kitchen table. A single lamp cast a pool of light over her, shadows stretching across the walls. Her thoughts churned in endless circles. She thought of Lily, of the life she'd built from the wreckage of her failed marriage. She thought of every time she'd put her daughter first, every sacrifice, every lonely night. And then she thought of Daniel, his steady gaze, his quiet strength, the way he made her feel seen, alive, wanted. Her heart ached with the weight of both worlds. She didn't hear the door until it creaked open. Daniel stepped inside, his expression cautious, almost uncertain. I couldn't sleep, he said quietly. I needed to know where we stand. Anna's chest rose and fell with a shuddering breath. We stand at a cliff, she whispered. And if we fall, I don't know if we survive the landing. He moved closer, his eyes never leaving hers. Then let's not fall. Let's jump, together. Tears slid down her cheeks. She wanted to resist, but the truth was already written in her heart. She rose, closing the distance between them. And this time, when he kissed her, she didn't pull away. In the days that followed, they didn't announce it. They didn't confess to the girls or the neighbors, but something between them had changed. Their conversations carried a quiet honesty. Their stolen moments burned with the certainty of two people who had finally stopped running from themselves. It wouldn't be easy. Anna knew that. Secrets had a way of surfacing, and the world was rarely kind to love that didn't fit its rules. But she also knew this. For the first time in years, she wasn't merely surviving. She was living, and as she sat by the window one evening, watching Lily and Emily laugh in the yard while Daniel leaned against the fence, smiling at her from across the grass, Anna let herself breathe. Whatever came next, she was no longer alone, and that made all the difference. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more emotional tales that stay with you long after they end.